So much excitement about this upcoming season. Fans cannot wait. Brandon, let me start with you. How wild will this season get?
I don't know. This season, definitely, I feel like the stakes were higher. I was in a pretty serious relationship for the most part of it. And, there was definitely some ups and downs with that. There's definitely a few people that don't like each other this season. I would say more than last season, which is kind of impressive.
Yeah.
Considering. So, there's a lot going on. I feel like this season as a whole is much more well-rounded than the last one, because there's just so many different sides of the spectrum. You have people, genuinely that, are going through things and they don't really like each other at all and trying to figure those things out. You have people going through relationships, you have people meeting new people, and people revisiting things that have happened in the past. And I feel like that, was sort of not really lacking last season, but not as much of it.
Wow. Well, we can't wait. I mean, so much to tease here. Brody, the gang is back together, the OG. Kristin Cavallari, she comes back. What was it like having her back? Did it feel just like the old days?
The thing about with Kristin is she's just like, exactly. When she comes back around, I feel like no time has passed. She's always been the same. She's so much fun. Her energy is great. She came in like a firecracker, got the drama going. She's good at that. She's good at getting things out of people. And so it was just really nice. She's one of the OG Laguna Beach Hills. So it was fun to have her on. She's always a pleasure to be around, and she brought the heat, that's for sure.
Some good stuff. And she actually just confirmed that she's single. Are we going to see her date a little bit? Yeah, today.
Damn, really? I thought she was dating that comedian, right? Wasn't she dating?
Apparently she's a single mom this Mother's Day, so.
Whoa.
There you go, Brody.
Yeah. Wait, Brody, you actually tested the waters at one point. Would you ever take Kristin out?
I mean, we dated for a long time back in the day when we were 19 and 20 and 21. I think we dated back then. So look, I love Kristin. She's great. I mean, I think she's got her hands full. She's, has, I think 3 kids now. So she's a pretty busy girl. But I love Kristin. Of course I'll go on a date. I'd love to go on a date with Kristin. We always
Frankie, another OG, Lauren Conrad makes a cameo. Or will she? Sorry. Will she? Because we're dying for it.
Oh, I don't think
LC wants nothing to do with us.
What? Do we know why?
No, I think she's moved
really
on
talk
from
to
the
her.
show. I think she's moved on from the show, and she's happy and has her kids and her. I mean, she's always been an entrepreneur, and I'm sure she's busy with her lifestyle. We still keep in touch, and everything's good, but
Well, that's good that you guys keep in touch with her. And it's funny, I read this article about the Hills and the rise of social media, the influencer, and the Hills. Are you guys to blame for this? Because it seems like you guys were really blowing up social media and influencers before we even really knew what that was.
We influenced the influencer.
Literally.
I was not a part of any of that nonsense.
I was influencing Brandon.
Brody, were you a social media influencer before it was a thing?
Not really. When we did the original Hills, we didn't even have Instagram or any of that stuff. So that was sort of, it would have been nice to have had that back then. But I wouldn't really call myself a social media influencer now.
I do.
Brandon,
I wouldn't call myself.
How is it being, the newcomer with the reboot this time around? How are you feeling like you're fitting into this world?
To be honest, it's been interesting. It's something that I never really thought I would do in my life. I'm an actor, and I've up until this point I've lived a really private life. But I thought, and I still do think that, it's an interesting process for people to get to know me and get to know who I really am and how I operate and what I'm like day to day, because I feel like growing up, no one knew who I was. So, I think it's just an interesting opportunity, and we'll see what happens in the future, but it's definitely been interesting for me.
Yeah, totally putting yourself in the spotlight. Brody, I have to ask, what has it been like filming with your ex, Kaitlynn?
It's been great. Kaitlynn and I are still really close. We're good friends. And so it's been nice. We don't really film that much together. I mean, she's got her own little group that she hangs out in and films with that. But when we do film, she's easy to be around. We get along great. So it's been easy.
That's great that you're on such good terms. I know she did very publicly rebound with Miley right after the divorce. So do we get to see your reaction to that this season?
You just have to wait and see. But I don't know how much we're allowed to talk about Miley and that stuff. But yeah, we definitely get into some of that for sure.
All right. Well, we'll have to tune in to hear more about that because I know the public's dying to get a little bit more info there. And Brandon, your mom actually, she went through a divorce this past year during COVID. So how have you been able to support her during this time?
Who'd she divorce? John Peters? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. They were married for like 2 weeks. Wasn't that bad.
Yeah. Gotta lean on your family during times like that, especially during COVID. Are you dating at all, Brandon?
Actually, at the moment, I'm single. Fantastic.
Okay, wait. There's a whole show not single, and then he gets single right at the end of the show.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a pretty, intense relationship over the last, almost 2 years. And you definitely get to see that play out on the show and sort of, see how that plays out.
Are you opposed to getting on the apps? Is that kind of thing?
I don't know. I feel like that's, if it's fun, it's fun. I remember I've been on a couple of them like throughout history. Yeah, they're fun, but I don't really.
What are we talking about?
The apps,
like the dating apps.
The dating apps.
There's so many nowadays. I mean,
Yeah.
and
Brandon's
especially
all over.
during, COVID, it's been a hit.
I actually own one.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
It's called Lolly.
Get on Frankie's app.
Yeah,
Seriously.
You can be a VIP.
we'll put you in the preferred list.
And Frankie, you are always, the voice of reason. Are we going to continue to see you kind of playing referee?
I feel like I am the voice of reason, but they don't like me being the voice of reason. They want me to be the dramatic
I don't know about that.
I'm always giving the right advice to my boys and the girls. I've always been there for them. And
Frankie.
behind, like,
They
whoever.
need you.
Whoever's
Frankie is a professional fence rider. Professional.
I love that. And last question, Brody and Frankie, what do you all remember about being cast, way back in the day and making reality show history?
What do we remember it?
Yeah, like thinking back to the start of all this, what comes to mind and how far you all have come with this show?
Well,
I mean, it was kind of crazy when we first filmed. I mean, Spencer and I sort of infiltrated our way onto the show. Like, we did a show called Princes of Malibu, Spencer and I, before The Hills, and the executive producer that we hired for our show ended up going and working on The Hills. And he would hit us up and be like, "Hey, we really love for you guys to get on the show." And when he would tell us where they were filming and stuff like that, and Spencer and I would call Frankie up, and Frankie was the club guy, and be like, "Hey, put our table right next to Lauren and all the girls," and we literally would go get the table right next to them and like start talking to them. We just sort of infiltrated our way onto the show, Spencer and I, and then the executive producer he knew us and he had worked on us for the show, so he just ultimately filmed more with us and brought us on, and then we became characters on the show. But it was fun. It's just, I think back then too, Hollywood and partying and going out, and just, it was really cool because, Lauren came out and she was working at Teen Vogue, and it was such a glamorous, thing to watch, like a young girl moving from Laguna Beach, working at Teen Vogue, the fashion, that's a little different this time around. It's more about what we're up to now. But yeah, I think that back then it was fun. We were young and it was crazy. And now we're a little more older, more responsibilities, but it's good. It's just a different phase of our lives. The Hills, new beginnings,
Yeah, a lot more to lose now.
A lot more. Yeah, exactly.
What a great note to end on. Well, thank you all so much for your time today, and can't wait for everyone to tune in.